What is good, Defenders Nation, and welcome to the LAFC podcast that your mother warned you about. That's right, this is Defenders of the Bank, episode 349, just one away from 350. And good evening, everybody. It is Sunday, March 16th, 2025, at about 9 o'clock at night here in beautiful Southern California. I'm coming to you live from Lawndale. You know my voice. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert, and it's just me. That's right, just me today. Lafferty, as you guys all know, ran the marathon, all 26.2 miles. Panda also ran the marathon today, killed it again, 26.2 miles. So Philly's taking care of Panda. Lafferty's taking care of himself. You guys, this is a solo Scarf endeavor, although knowing Philly, it wouldn't surprise me if he pops in at some point. We all know how he likes to be part of the festivities as well. And I am perfectly fine with the hashtag that gets laid on me every now and then, and that's hashtag blame Scarf. Carlos in the chat, what's happening? Completely agree with you on the midfield. We've talked about it. That's where the weakness has been over the last few matches. We've seen our midfield get dominated. I actually don't think we played nearly as poorly as we have over the last couple of matches. I think we played okay. I don't think okay is obviously good enough, even against a team that is fair to middling, like Austin FC was in this one. And believe me, it could have been a lot worse for LAFC, as there were a couple of massive chances that Uzuni just could not put away. We got lucky that we only lost this one 1-0 for sure. But for me, obviously, the thing that's far more troubling is the nothing. I think that LAFC was one pass away, one attempt away, maybe about a dozen times on this one. LAFC dominating in a lot of different ways, but not in the way that mattered. LAFC falling to Austin in Ilie Sanchez's return to BMO Stadium, 1-0, and we'll get into all of that in just a little bit. We want to remind everybody that the Mo Facio Futsal Court fundraising effort is still underway. If you head to lafc.com/Mo-Facio, get on that fundraising effort so that we can get this court not just built, but fully funded, and we can have our kickabout in Cudahy, because that's where the futsal court is being built. So please make sure you get that done. Let's help out the LAFC community and make Mo's memory a lasting legacy. There's also, again, that beautiful Mo mural on the north end wall at the stadium. So please take a moment and check that out. Everybody was in attendance in this one, except for a lot of LAFC supporters. Lots of empty seats and open spaces for an MLS home match. This one, a 12:45 kickoff. Jose C. Fuentes, that's right, Sifu, they're in attendance. That was fun to see. How about Pochettino, also in attendance, the U.S. men's national team head coach, although it looked like it was there. He was there to scout Brandon Vasquez, as he was spotted chatting with Brandon Vasquez. Although I think Timothy Tillman played reasonably well in this one, if he was looking to give Tillman a call up at some point. Obviously, Paul Pogba in attendance. He's a name that has kind of, sort of, on occasion been linked to LAFC. Could be interesting that Pogba was there. I don't know. Who knows? Look, we know that if anything is going to happen, it's going to happen at that July transfer window. What I really did enjoy are the parts of this match where Cengiz Ünder might have given the LAFC front office something to really think about. But it was interesting that we had so many fun people there in attendance. It was a good day overall, or a good weekend overall, other than LAFC for Southern California soccer. We know that Angel City got off to a start at their season, and LAFC 2 righted the ship against Los Gros, or formerly Los Gros anyway, Ventura County FC. But let's get into a couple of the usual suspects. that we like to do here on Defenders of the Bank. I say we because it's normally Philly and I, and sometimes it's Lafferty and I, and sometimes we bring on other guests. But you know what? At 9:15 on a Sunday night, the night before St. Patrick's Day, I think it's a little hard. It's just going to be me tonight, guys, and we're having ourselves a good time for sure. Let's talk about this day in LAFC history and then a very small bit of news and notes. If you watched the game yesterday, the game was on March 15th, 2025, and that, of course, the birthday of Peter Lee Vassell, LAFC's 2019 40th overall super draft pick out of Jamaica. And Peter Lee had a solid stint here, although he has since gone on to other things for sure. Yeah, Genuine Kruger's absolutely right. It's just me and the millions, and there's nobody else to go and millions. But I know all of you in the chat and all of you listening at home, you guys are helping out a scarf tonight. We appreciate it. It's just your friendly neighborhood scarf here tonight, everybody. But we're doing this episode Sunday, March 16th. And of course, LAFC legend celebrating a birthday on March 16th. Yes, that would be Andy Nahar. If Philly were here, you guys would hear the nickname El Papel. That was his nickname because he was made of paper while he was with LAFC. I believe, thank you, Ruben. I believe he currently is with Nashville this season and getting some decent burn until he gets hurt later in the season. So birthdays for both Peter Lee Vassell and Andy Nahar. Quick little bit of news and notes. We tweeted this out on our Twitter, and this is not, I promise you, just a shameless plug to get you to go follow us at Defend the Bank on Twitter. That's Defend the Bank on Twitter. Mohamed Traore, the former member of LAFC who barely got any run while he was here with LAFC. We signed him as a teenager. He was like 19 years old, really young kid. He has been toiling it away for Phoenix Rising in USL's championship division. And that's the second division in U.S. soccer pyramid, by the way, just under MLS is USL championship. Do yourselves a favor. Head on over to our Twitter, scroll down a little bit, and find this incredible Mohamed Traore goal. He scores from just inside midfield. I think he said he was trying to clear it, but he'll take the goal. It's an instant USL Goal of the Year candidate for Mohamed Traore. No longer property of LAFC as he left at the beginning of 2024 on a free transfer to Phoenix Rising, who I think he had been loaned to a couple of times while he was with LAFC. I'm going to take a sip of my Liquid Death Rest in Peach iced tea here. Liquid Death, if you would like to sponsor a podcast, by the way. Defenders of the Bank, looking for a sponsor. So an incredible goal there by Mohamed Traore. Let's talk about the Dos Derby, LAFC 2 taking on Ventura County FC, of course, formerly Galaxy 2, or as we like to call them, Los Gros. Congrats to LAFC 2 for holding on to the lead this time. It was a 3-1 victory in the Dos Derby out at Titan Stadium on March 14th. Alec Hughes and De Carlo Guerra both scoring inside halftime for LAFC 2. And a late own goal from Ventura County salted away the 3-1 victory in the Dos Derby. So congratulations to LAFC 2 getting their first 3 points of the season after picking up a point for the draw on opening day. Definitely, congrats to all of you on LAFC 2. We highlighted every single one of the names of the players currently under contract at LAFC 2 last podcast. So you want to go check that out, please do. Angel City opened their 2025 campaign with a 1-1 draw against San Diego Wave at BMO after falling behind very early in the 5th minute. Alyssa Thompson, who is must-see TV. She is an incredible player in the NWSL for Angel City. Her sister Giselle also on the back line. And to me, it's the 3 teenagers to watch at Angel City Football Club with Alyssa Thompson, Giselle Thompson, and Kennedy Fuller. Alyssa Thompson scoring the lone goal for the home side in the 54th minute. So just as a reminder, make sure you check out Angel City Chicks at Angel City Chicks for all your ACFC news. Look, we're moving fast and furious through this episode here. And again, we want to just remind every single one of you, I love you guys so much on Instagram right now and on Twitter, everywhere that you guys access. I'm trying to keep up with the chats. There's like 2 different chat screens going, as well as producing the episode here. So it's been a fun one. Bam, talking to you real quick. When do you get in town? What's the date again? Remind us all here in the chat. Look, it was a homecoming of sorts for Austin, but unfortunately for Scarf, and again, this is what I kind of alluded to at the beginning of the episode, if you need to bring back a hashtag that gets put on my head from time to time, well, you know what? Heavy is the head that wears the scarf. I was not able to be at the match. I have missed, I think, 4 or 5 total matches in the 8 seasons now that we have played. 2 of them, I had a very good reason, was that I was taking kids on a service trip. We were in Peru for one of the matches, and I think I was in Puerto Rico for one of the other matches, or my kids, the middle schoolers that I teach, were on a service trip. This one, I got a really cool opportunity to see one of my sports idols, like just one of the coolest things I've been able to do, to see one of my sports idols in person playing for, I don't know how many more seasons they'll be doing it, but you know what? It's the 16th season for this guy, Steph Curry. And I really did enjoy watching Steph play. Got to watch him warm up. I was up in San Francisco, watched him play at Chase Center. So that was really cool to be able to see Steph play in person. It's just one of those things that I've never been able to do. And you guys all know, I talk about my dad a lot on this podcast. I lost my dad year and a half ago now. Goodness, it's flying by, it seems like. But it was my dad's like final favorite player. He absolutely loved watching Steph Curry. So it was really cool to be able to go up there and see him play in person. And obviously, it's always fun when I get to think about my dad during those kinds of things. So that was really cool to be able to do that. So I was up at Chase Center for the match, for the game for Golden State. And of course, they beat up on Philly's Knicks. So that was always fun to see. Sorry, Philly. I love you. Karl Anthony Towns looked great. But other than that, it was really cool to see Golden State Warriors and the Knicks. But I absolutely watched the LAFC match from there first. And I got home off the plane today and rewatched it again on Apple TV. And lots and lots and lots of things to say about this match for sure. But I completely agree with Carlos Alzraki, who said first that our midfield, a little bit of a problem in this one. Ilie Sanchez, thank you. By the way, you just showed up in the chat. We appreciate you, Ilie. Ilie came to play. Austin came to play. And I'm so glad it was something that Maurice Edu said at the end of the broadcast, the type of defense that Austin was playing in this match. It was a bend but don't break defense. And I made the observation at like the 80th minute as I was taking notes right before he said it. You have to go back and look at the way that LAFC played defense over our first 4 matches of the season. And it was that same style, right? We would give up an occasional chance here and there, but it was a bend but don't break style that you saw from LAFC. It wasn't that we were just dominating in every facet, but we were not just not allowing a lot of shots on target, but there were matches where we didn't even allow shots. Yes, it was a dominating run of defense, but I don't think you looked at us as this juggernaut, just as one that was playing this bend but don't break style, this full team defense style that we played over the first several matches. And I'm telling you, it looked a lot like exactly what Austin FC did. How many times were a couple of their designated player strikers tracking back into their defensive third to be part of the defending options for Austin FC? I thought that was a big thing. Let's get into the lineups. Obviously, coming into this match, first and foremost, LAFC had yet to concede a goal at home in the MLS regular season, and it kind of looked like a late arriving crowd. LAFC in our last 6 matches against Austin, even though I know Steve Cherundolo doesn't believe in streaks. In our last 6 matches, all LAFC did was win 4 and draw 2. They had not lost to them. 7 matches ago was the last time you would see a loss against Austin FC. So LAFC coming in, kind of getting the upper hand. Remember, by the way, last time LAFC lost to Austin at home, all we did that year was to go on and win MLS Cup. So, hey, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it's a harbinger of things to come. We'll see. Today's word of the day can be harbinger. That's totally fine. We'll have a little fun with that. Austin's head coach, Nico Estevez, is certainly doing good things. He was once the head coach in Dallas. He is now over in Austin, and he has them running a 4-4-2, and we are all very familiar with Brad Stuver in goal. On the back line, John Gallagher, who was absolutely fantastic against Denis Bouanga in this one, Oleksandr Svatok, Brendan Hines-Ike, and the goal scorer was Guillermo Biro, and he was the difference in this match only because of the way that he got on a very good outswinging corner. Other than that, I mean, not a lot for Austin other than a couple of chances by a designated player who I'm shocked it was Christian Ramirez-like in the way that he wasn't able to put those 2 chances away. In the midfield, there are 4 that they played in the midfield. Osman Bukhari, Basard Sabovic, Owen Wolf, and of course, their captain, our former captain in the 6 shirt, Ilie Sanchez. Ilie, 98 regular season matches for LAFC. This was a tough one for us to swallow, seeing Ilie out there, seeing Ilie as motivated as he was and playing as well as he did. Up top, the forwards, Brandon Vasquez and Mirto Uzuni, and we will talk quite a bit about Mirto Uzuni in this one for sure, as he had an absolute nightmare in front of what looked like about 18 to 20,000 people at BMO Stadium. I know that everyone's saying that it filled in eventually, but on TV anyway, or on Apple, whatever the kids are calling it these days, I don't know if it filled in. Denis, did you see your old boy? Cifuentes was at the game yesterday. I agree. For LAFC, their lineup without Olivier Giroud, who had picked up a bit of a knock in training from what we understand. It's a leg injury. Olivier Giroud out in this one, as well as, of course, Lorenzo De La Valle and Marlon. Marlon suffering the hamstring injury. Who knows how long it'll be for Marlon, but they seem to think it was a less severe hamstring strain. If it's me, I'm out 4 to 6 months, I think, with that hamstring strain. At least, we'll say, 4 to 6 months. But that being said, it looks like he could be back in a matter of weeks, they're saying. What I would like to do is to keep Marlon off the pitch as long as they need to get him fully healthy. We absolutely need a healthy Marlon if we are going to be moving forward. But nothing on Odin Thiago Holm, by the way. I was really hoping we might see or hear something. Pam is 4 to 6 years. I love it. Nothing on Odin Thiago Holm. I was hoping we might be able to see something from him. We need midfield help, and he is, from what I understand, a very young, pacey midfielder who, if he's healthy, I think could really provide another kick to our offensive gear. We need to find some dynamism out there. We're not going to get that type of dynamism from a Marquis Delgado or, I believe, an Igor Jesus. Timothy Tillman tried in this match, but more on them in a little bit. Let's go into the LAFC starting lineup. Of course, Ugo in goal, who wasn't really called on to do a whole ton except make one big one that he couldn't get to. A little bit of a softie, I think, if you ask Ugo, but also we'll talk about that goal in a minute because Timothy Tillman, I don't know what you're doing, bud. Defending the back line would be Ryan Hollingshead, Aaron Long, Sergi Palencia, and Nkosi Tafari getting the start in this one. I thought Nkosi played well. Fluffhead is on it right now. I like it. Pacey, better than Dawson. I was definitely a Dawson's Creek fan growing up, and the ADD that you guys do to me there in the chat forces me to address these type of things in the chat. That's why I put it up on the screen as well, so you can see the squirrel that my brain is from time to time, just going all over the place. In the midfield, it was Timothy Tillman, Igor Jesus, and Mark Delgado. That seems to be our midfield of choice. I'm wondering if we had many other midfield options, if that would still be our midfield of choice, but we just don't have the bodies in the midfield right now. And starting up top, throwing him right into the fire, and I absolutely loved it, although you could clearly see that my boy is not yet 90 minutes match fit. That would be Cengiz Under, wearing number 22. Cengiz Under also wearing very tiny socks. I'm not a fan of players that don't wear the long socks, but several of our players now don't do that, and absolutely kills me. David Martinez doesn't do it. Cengiz Under doesn't do it. But you know what? They're the professionals, and they're making millions of dollars, so they can wear whatever the heck they want in the way of socks. I don't know. I like the long socks if you're going to go play at BMO Stadium. Jeremy Abobasi and Denis Bouanga rounding out the lineup. And, of course, in our 18, a couple players that we would see that really did play well. Artem Smolyakov, I really like the way that he played. Yaya Boa, Nathan Ordaz, and David Martinez all coming off the bench for LAFC. So with that being said, let's get into it. And I'm going to say this, the highlight of the first half for LAFC, to me, was Cengiz Under. I thought Cengiz Under did a lot of things that reminded me a little bit, just a little bit, of Carlos Vela. He is a naturally left-footed player, just like Carlos Vela was. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of develop some of those tendencies that we saw from Carlos over the first 5-6 seasons in our club's history. And it took him about 5 minutes. He looked very, very, very good early on. I absolutely loved him going kind of 1v2, taking on a couple of defenders, but he looked confident as he did it. It was a little different than, let's say, a Kike Oliveira or a David Martinez. I really liked the way that Cengiz Under, when he takes on a couple defenders, he acts like he's been there before, right? Like he takes the defenders on with his head up. He's looking to create small touches so that he can then create big plays afterwards. And I really like that in the 5th minute. Denis hammering one right at Brad Stuver. I like the corner kicks also, by the way, being taken by Cengiz Under. Tillman to Tafari on that back corner, the back post ball that we ran. I thought that was fun. That was pretty good. It was really a nice thing to see Cengiz Under taking these corner kicks. I think we've talked about it a little bit once or twice on the show, but no Matty Bogusz, no Kike Oliveira, no Edward Atuesta, players who have traditionally taken the bulk of our corner kicks. We've now seen Denis Bouanga taking the bulk of our corner kicks this season. And they've got a low line drive, hard pace to them for sure, but maybe lacking a little bit of the finesse, a little bit of the touch, not trying to run any back post plays. And if you've got Nkosi Tafari, I mean, dude is 6'4" and can jump out of the gym. I would really like to run that play a little bit more often. Genuine Cougar, I believe he's correct. It might even be 24 or 25. I have to go back and do the research, but more on that in a little bit. And then in the 7th minute, go back and watch. Go to Apple TV and scroll down and watch the full replay again and take a look at the 7th minute. This dirty little chop that Cengiz Under does on the right side. He does a little chop, turns around, gets the ball over to Sergi Palencia. And unfortunately for Sergi, instead of one touch and into the box, he holds on to it for a little bit too long. And unfortunately, the worst case scenario would be that the ball goes off of Sergi Palencia and out for a goal kick. After that, honestly, it was a couple of boring minutes of football. And then Austin gets themselves a corner kick. And it was a beautiful, beautiful corner kick, an out-swinging ball by Owen Wolff. And honestly, I thought personally, with that ball so far away, it was well out of the 6, closer to the top of the 18. than anything else. Rob, that's a solid comment. I really thought that it would be really difficult to get a dangerous header on that ball. Guillaume Biro says, hold my Biro, because he was absolutely able to get enough on it with enough of an angle. Look, this wasn't bottom left corner tucked in to the post. It really wasn't. It was a ball that, if you look, Ugo was there-ish. I thought the ball took a little bounce. I watched it in slow motion a couple of times, and I thought the ball took a little bit of a bounce right before it gets to the hand of Ugo Lloris. It takes like a weird knuckle kind of a bounce. It skims under his hand. I think it looked like there. It was just a weird bounce. I think Ugo will tell you 10 times out of 10 he should be making that save. But what I kept watching over and over again was I was shocked. I got to talk to, our head groundskeeper and honestly, maybe Paul, team security Paul, for letting this happen. I was shocked to see this, guys. Go back and look. There is someone left a statue of Timothy Tillman on the pitch while the play was going on. Somebody could have really gotten hurt. This statue just sitting there inside the 6, right near the goalpost. How somebody this is an oversight by whether it's LAFC's grounds crew or the security, how somebody just left a statue out there so that players could potentially trip over, run into. We saw later in the match when there was contact between actual Timothy Tillman and Brad Stuver, how upset people got. But there was a statue standing next to the post there. What is Timothy Tillman doing on this play? He's standing not on the back post, probably where he's supposed to be. He's not even taking an angle away. I was shocked. I was frustrated. I didn't know what was going on with Timothy Tillman on this play. He just kind of got lost, caught in no man's land. He might have been able to take this one off of the line as well. But look, I think either way, you can complain about it being a soft goal. You can complain about it being a goal that should have been saved. But I think the real issue has to be the fact that we had players out of position. It's the only good chance we gave up for quite a long time. And still, LAFC isn't able to even give up a chance like this to stay in the match. We go down 1-0 after 11 minutes. And it seemed like the crowd at BMO, they were just kind of looking, waiting the next shoe to drop. Like, okay, LAFC just got scored on at home for the first time in the MLS regular season. Let's see how pissed off they get. Let's see them come roaring back. Let's see them open up and really get play going their way. And look, if you look at the little 5-minute heat maps throughout the course of the 90 minutes, LAFC dominated every other 5-minute interval in the first half. Cengiz Under in the 15th minute drove right at his man to the goal line, crossed it back across goal. I loved Cengiz Under's creativity, his aggression, taking that ball all the way to the goal line. And he knew what he wanted to do with it. He was crossing it back across goal, looking for, in this case, it was Sergi Palencia. He had another dangerous corner in like the 19th minute. Denny Bawanga in the 24th minute had a takeaway. He drove right at goal, really wanted a call, but just didn't get the call. I'll say this about the referee. He let everybody play the entire match. There was no, this call went LAFC's way. This call, that was funny. This call went Austin's way. No, look, that referee, as frustrating as it was that LAFC wasn't getting any calls, I really didn't feel like Austin was getting any calls either. I'd rather a match where the players look at the referee and they go, okay, well, if he's not calling anything, then let's continue to take the physicality at the other team. And there was one team that did that, but unfortunately, they weren't wearing black and gold. They were wearing that kind of minty green and off-white of Austin FC. I'll talk about that at the end of the match too, when you go back and look at the numbers. I thought In the 26th minute, you had Cengiz Under doing his best Carlos Vela impersonation as he curls one with his left foot just wide of the far post. I absolutely loved some of these chances that Cengiz Under was creating. But in the 28th minute, I mean, oh my goodness, out of absolutely nothing, almost a second goal for Austin FC as Brandon Vasquez makes a nice little touch to Sabovic there in the box. And look, you can ask him 1,000 times. Sure, he's not a striker. He's not even a midfielder. But Sabovic will tell you he needs to put this one on target and in the back of the net. LAFC could have been down 2-0 after just 28 minutes. And then John Gallagher in the 40th minute, absolutely nobody turns and faces with John Gallagher. If you look at the play right before this, for some reason, now Ryan Hollingshead, who doesn't normally play on that left side, he normally plays on the right side with Sergi Palencia on the left side. So I thought it was really interesting that they switched and had Ryan Hollingshead on the opposite side, a side that there were times where I don't think he was as comfortable with. But what he does, it didn't make sense to me how Ryan Hollingshead comes across the mouth of goal to head this ball away, thinking he's making the right defensive play, but nobody rotates back around to Ryan Hollingshead's side. So when Ryan heads this ball away right back to Austin FC players, and they're able to recycle that ball back around the right side, and you look at how open John Gallagher was taking this shot, I mean, nobody was around him. He had all the time in the world to tee this one up, and it's not on anybody else on our back line. That was on Ryan for being pretty badly out of position. And look, it's easy to talk about in hindsight because Ryan Hollingshead headed this ball directly to an Austin FC player. Even if Ryan makes a good play and heads this away to a player on our team, we're still limited to just attacking up that right-hand side on the counter because of how out of position we are defensively going into that header. So a little bit of a surprising play there from Ryan Hollingshead. I would think we might get a little bit better of a defensive head on his shoulders there from the veteran. First half stoppage time, it's a yellow for Brandon Vasquez, and I thought this could be really interesting. If Vasquez has to track back on defense at some point, as they were doing quite a bit already there in the first half, maybe he gets a foot in the way somewhere, maybe he takes somebody down as they were going behind him. You could be looking at a red card situation there for Brandon Vasquez. That was not to be the case, but he did pick up the yellow there in the first minute. And look, after the first half, I don't think LAFC played poorly. I thought we were fine adjacent. I do think that all of the good chances in that half, not created by Cengiz Under, went to Austin FC. I mean, we talked about how we might be able to be down 2-0 or 3-0. Yeah, Ruben, I have a feeling we're going to talk about that a little bit more as the season goes on, but we'll get to that in a bit. I just thought Cengiz Under looked really, really good for us in terms of creating chances and doing all the things. I didn't think anybody else did. We, LAFC, in that first half, lacking any quality on the final touch, lacking any quality in that final piece so that we could put something on target, so that we could put something in a dangerous spot. Other than Cengiz Under, I thought that that's what we were lacking there in the first half. 7 shots, 2 on target for LAFC. Those aren't numbers that we want to see. And 63% possession. And look, I thought that we did things with possession, right? The idea is to get the ball into the attacking third with your possession. At that point, then, it's players making decisions and knowing where to be. Not coaches, players making decisions and knowing where to be. How often in this match did we possess the ball in the attacking third? We did several times over the course of this match where we held the ball in their attacking third for quite some time. And honestly, they caught us on the counter a bunch, which is exactly what they were trying to do if you look at the end. 6, I think, something possession for LAFC in this one. First half, 63% possession. We had 6 corners in the first half as well. 6 corners in the first half. None in the second half. But just looking at the first half, I thought that John Gallagher did a great job on Denis Bouanga. I thought that Jeremy Abobasi looked like half a step slow and off. I was a little frustrated at the way that Jeremy played the number 9 role. Hey, there is a guy out there who's playing, I think, in Liberia on my birthday, March 20th, which, by the way, 4 days away. There's a guy playing for the Sierra Leone national team on my birthday in Liberia. His name is Kai Kamara. He's still available as a free agent, folks. And the thing that we know about Kai Kamara is that he can play the 9 the way that we would like him to play the 9. If we're getting these crosses, whether they're low crosses or high crosses into the box, now with Cengiz Under, Denis Bouanga, whoever it might be, it'd be really great to have a 9 in the middle who goes and gets a ball, even if it's not perfect service, I don't know, to the tune of maybe the second most goals scored in the history of the league that we're playing in, Major League Soccer, Kai Kamara. It would be really great. I have thoughts on Yaw Yeboah. Ruben, do me a favor, because you're really good at this. Remind me at the end of the game recap to give my thoughts on Yaw Yeboah here in just a minute. I like that. I'll do that. All right. So we get into the second half, and Cengiz Under, after being in the locker room for a little bit, gets his second wind and really gets things going again in the 46th minute. Isn't this what we saw Carlos Vela do, guys, time and time and time again? That he gets a couple of touches with that ball on his left foot, gets the curler, and Brad Stuver wasn't about to get that ball, and it wasn't as far away from the goalpost as he thought it would be. That could have been one of those Carlos Vela moments where he takes 1 touch, 2 touch, and then wham, he gets that ball with the left, curls it around. We saw Charlie Candle do that a whole ton for us. So I was really hoping that we might see something like that from Cengiz Under. By the way, in the 49th minute, how about Ilie Sanchez taking that shot from distance? Where was that, Ilie, over the last, 12, 14 matches with LAFC? There really wasn't a lot of offensive dynamism from Ilie. And in this one, look, it was his only chance at goal. So it wasn't like he was creating all these different plays for Austin either. But what a take from Ilie Sanchez from distance there in the 49th minute. In the 57th minute, we should absolutely have been down 2-0. Let's just call it for what it is. Mirto Uzuni had a nightmare in front of 20,000 people. An absolute nightmare. It's Ilie to Uzuni, who kind of chests it down to a teammate for a little give and go, gave it right back to Uzuni. His shot really didn't have much on it, and he put it right at Hugo Lloris. So we got lucky there, and not 30 seconds later, Austin, who continues their high press, takes the ball right back, and it's Owen Wolf, of all people, who finds a streaking Uzuni. And, you don't get an easier goal-scoring chance than this. According to MLSsoccer.com, this had a 48% chance at being a goal. That's an XG of 0.48. 0.48, pretty incredible. Omar, not sure yet, but I'll get to that. But that being said, this has to be a goal for Austin FC. Sorry, the chat. I'm a squirrel right now, trying to focus. This has to be a goal from Mirto Uzuni. Still looking for his first goal in an Austin shirt, and boy, are we lucky about that. What's up, LAFC Wolf? Rob, I mentioned that at the top of the podcast. Where were you? Really surprised that we're not down 2-0. In the 61st minute, Denis from very, very close, right at Brad Stuver again. And it really looks like Denis Bouanga is pressing a little bit. That shot, instead of going to curl it over Brad Stuver from the angle, he could have absolutely done that. He chose to just put on an absolute laser show and fired it right at Brad, hit him square in the chest with it. He went for power instead of accuracy. And in the 63rd minute, I thought this was the right move to make in terms of making the sub for Cengiz Ünder, David Martinez for Cengiz Ünder. And I thought that it was, I guess, the right sub to make. Nathan Ordaz for Jeremy Abobasi. I thought Jeremy was largely ineffective completely for us at the 9. And I've said I want to see Nathan Ordaz maybe playing a little bit more of a straight line 9 role. I don't think it went very well. And I think they're still looking to figure out how to have David Martinez and Nathan Ordaz coexist on the pitch at the same time. What we've been able to see is while one of them is out there, the other one is watching them going, if I just get my chance, if I just get my chance. And right before one subs out for the other, usually one of them scores. So then the other plays their ass off and then they score really well for the other 20, 25, 30 minutes or so. And you know what? They're looking pretty good as like a two-headed monster. I don't know that it worked as well with having them both on the pitch at the same time. But look at our roster right now. Look at our depth or lack thereof. We just don't have it. I really did like the shift that Artem Smolyakov put in for Sergi Palencia, but I was surprised. That it was Sergi Palencia coming off and maybe not Ryan Hollingshead in this one, just because I thought Sergi was just doing Sergi things over and over and over again. He looked great again. That meant Hollingshead switches sides over to that opposite side again. And it was interesting, again, like I said, to bring on David Martinez and Nathan Ordaz at the same time. But I really liked the play, and I'll talk about this at the end of the podcast, of Artem Smolyakov offensively. And look, to David Martinez's credit, he started to look to create pretty much as soon as he touched the ball in the 67th minute. A nice sequence from Igor Jesus to Timothy Tillman to David Martinez, and David just over the bar from the left-hand side. But David Martinez, from that side, he's been able to create for us time and time again this season. And I really liked his ability to create, but I liked more the fact that we strung passes together from Igor Jesus to Timothy Tillman to an attacking player, something we hadn't seen very much of in this match. Osman Bukhari comes out, one of their DPs, in the 69th giggity minute, and Danny Pereira and Yara Obrian both come on for Austin. And I really liked in the 70th minute, again, I go back and watch these matches 1 and 2 times each, and I kind of look for different things each time I watch the match. And I really liked this offensive run down the left-hand side from Artem Smolyakov. It's one of the first real solid, confident offensive maneuvers that we've seen from him this season. And I thought that we saw that over the course of his entire 27-minute shift. We saw him looking more and more confident offensively. We all know, yes, he got beat by the kid from Tacoma, and I'm blanking on his name, Kosa Rienzi. Kalani Kosa Rienzi for Seattle. Say that 3 times fast. He got beat on that goal, and it looked bad, but he's come back and he's played really, really well. Yayaboa coming on for Marky Delgado, and that meant Yayaboa would stay in the midfield. And I liked this for Yaboa because it put him in a little bit more of an attacking role, an attacking option. We've seen him come on as a fullback, but usually when we're playing 5 in the back, well, now we're at 4 in the back with Yaboa as a true midfielder. And I at least liked him being able to get out in front on the front foot a little bit more. In the 75th minute, Biro, the goal scorer, comes off for Zanko Manic. 78th minute, right? We got a little fisticuffs, a little shovey between Brad Stuver and Timothy Tillman. And I know, Ruben, you wanted a red for Brad Stuver on the shove. A stiff breeze would have knocked Timothy Tillman over on that last one. I thought it reminded me of the old school Laker days of Vlade Divac with the flop. I mean, that was a solid flop by our buddy Timothy Tillman. I thought that was the right call. Tillman clearly undercut Stuver on that one. He didn't really go after the ball, so the only thing that's left there for him to do is to undercut Brad Stuver. I thought this was just like double technicals at a basketball game. Both of those players deserve yellows. They both got it. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the 84th minute. Little sick touch there by Brandon Vasquez with Pochettino in attendance to go up that right-hand side. But a great job by Nkosi Tafari to get back. And it's only a corner. Luckily, it's only a corner. But Tafari did a great job to get back on that one for sure. And then, look, we get into the 90th minute. And you just saw, you heard, you felt from the crowd, like, come on, guys, get something going forward. Get something going in the right direction. The best chance of the half was really in the first minute of stoppage time. A big switch over to Denis Bouanga, and then he crosses it to David Martinez and then to Ryan Hollingshead. And Hollingshead's header, he doesn't get a ton on it. David Martinez couldn't get a touch on it. But finally, we get the ball in their box, in the 18, not just in the attacking third. We couldn't do anything with it, though. Unfortunately, Gallagher picks up a tactical yellow card on Denis Bouanga to close things out. And LAFC just looking they never looked dangerous in this match. Let's put it that way. There were a couple of times where individual efforts brought on some moments of instability for Austin. But in terms of putting it all together, I really don't think LAFC looked dangerous off of a series of passes at all in this match. Out of LAFC's 8 shots in the second half, just one on target, one shot on target in the entire second half, and it was a Denis Bouanga ball right at Brad Stuver from a tough angle. No corners generated in the second half, and LAFC got beat up in this one. I felt like Austin, and this might be a credit to Nico Estevez, Austin saw the way that referee was calling the match and said, okay, we are going to continue to take it to them. Austin had 19 fouls to our 11, 5 yellows to our 1. And of course, our 1 came on that double yellow between Brad Stuver and Timothy Tillman. I thought Austin really took it to us. I do think that if we have Cengiz Under for 90 minutes, that we might have pulled one back. I do think that Artem Smolyakov offensively was one of the bright spots of the match too. But I just don't think there's nearly enough to look at and go, oh no, this is an MLS club that is going to put up top 4 goals scored numbers this season. I think that right now it is unfortunately an awful lot like 2023, where it feels like it's Bouanga or bust. And that's after David Martinez playing really well in CONCACAF Champions League, and Nathan Ordaz probably overachieving a little bit, but then coming into the season match fit and ready to score goals. I don't know that over the course of 34 matches, you'll be able to count on that kind of production from him. I really hope so. But that being said, it looks like it's Bouanga or bust right now, with the caveat, little asterisk on that one for all of you out there, that if this is the way that Cengiz Under is going to play for 60 minutes a match, I really like where we're at with Cengiz Under. I think that he showed why LAFC brought him over, why he might be a very, very dynamic offensive attacking threat for us. Clearly, he's got the pedigree for it. He's played with some of the best teams against some of the best players, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if he can score. But that being said, you have to look at everybody else and just say, okay, what's going on here? There were times that our back line was all over the place. There were times that our midfield got dominated again, although I think this might have been Timothy Tillman's best effort, and yet there are still times where you're like, ugh, it's like one play away from either a potential turnover or a yellow card or something. But I did think it was Timothy Tillman's best effort this season. I thought Marky Delgado maybe didn't have a great game for us. I watched the match the second time, kind of looking at the midfield more than anything else. Igor Jesus was fine. Igor Jesus was very good. We asked him to do an awful lot as a young 20-something kid wearing the 6 shirt. So the fact that he's been able to do as much as he does, I think he's doing well, but I think our midfield is just a little overmatched right now as we get set to head to Sporting Kansas City, Children's Mercy Park on Saturday, March 22nd against a Sporting team that doesn't look great. I think we need to make sure that we take away 3 points on the road here in Sporting. And of course, we all know Sporting, not the easiest place to play. But look, we need something here. Sporting with just 1 point through their first 4 matches. And I think they've given up 8 goals on the season. Yeah. Just double checking this here. Yeah. Sporting, one of 3 clubs. That would be the Houston Dynamo, Sporting Kansas City, and, interesting, Carson, who have just managed 1 point through their first 4 matches. And look, some of you guys said it in the chat. Some of you guys said it to me on social media in my DMs and everything else. There are teams out there that look scary, right? Like anybody who watched that Atlanta-Miami game, Atlanta and Miami look like they are ready to go right now. And we've, by the way, got Miami coming April 2nd. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. But you got players like Emmanuel Latte-Lath. You've got, obviously, Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. You've got just the stars kind of looking like stars. And then, by the way, you look over in the Western Conference, and Tristan Blackman is scoring game winners for Vancouver Whitecaps right now, as they are, 4-0-0, I think, to start the regular season. Vancouver Whitecaps looking pretty fantastic to start the year, giving up just 2 goals, scoring 9 through 4 matches. And, racing out in front of the Supporters Shield. Interesting right now for our boy Tristan Blackman. I will absolutely love that kid always. But scoring game winners, Tristan Blackman, my goodness. Didn't have that on my bingo card for 2025, that's for sure. Look, LAFC have a lot of work to do. That is for sure. But that being said, we've got a week to figure it out in training, you guys. We're not playing Saturday, Tuesday, or Sunday, Wednesday, or whatever it is that we've been playing over the course of these first 8 or 9 matches. It has been brutal for LAFC so far this season. We have played double the amount of matches that Austin has played, 8-4. We've played double the amount of matches that most clubs in Major League Soccer have played. And that's while still trying to figure things out and having now a hurt Olivier Giroud while we do it. So, look, however it is that you access the Defenders of the Bank podcast, thank you. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Head on over to defendersofthebank.com and click on our shop tab, and you can see all kinds of new stuff. We've got new things in the works, and it is going to be fun. More importantly, it is about 10 o'clock the night before St. Patrick's Day. Everybody, it's a Monday. St. Patrick's Day is a Monday this year. So be smart, be safe, be prudent. And again, if you are going to enjoy yourselves, make sure Uber, Lyft, any of those things are installed on your phone. Just hit that. Please don't drive anywhere or do anything stupid tomorrow, you guys. Uber safely, if you could, please. Tomorrow night, I don't know. I might have another liquid death iced tea. I'm going to make sure that I do get some corned beef and cabbage, even though I've been told by everybody who is Irish that they don't even actually eat corned beef and cabbage. I know they like their cabbage, but they're not a big fan of the corned beef there. Either way, I'm going to make sure I get one. You guys are more than welcome to join me. Hit me up, get in the DMs, and I'll let you know where I'll be tomorrow for some corned beef and cabbage. Love you guys. I don't know if Paul Pogba's coming over, but he at least saw this game at the bank. You know how we like to end each and every one of these episodes. Bye-bye.